What's up, guys? Welcome to Free For All, your source for all things geek. I am your host, Evan Swafford. With me, as always, is Sippin' Josh.
I'm here out of necessity only.
It is in the charter.
See?
Trey Elliott.
Yo.
Forgot your name for a minute. I'm not gonna lie.
That's a bummer.
It is. I looked at you and I was like, I just looked at you in the eye and I was like,
Cool, man.
like I lost all sense of like where I was for a second. It's not a you thing. It's like I got a little worried.
It's not
Did
you,
he
it's
transfer his weakness into you visually?
Trey's been working on becoming a supervillain.
What every
He's
guy
close.
wants to hear, it's not you, it's me.
I love
Chuck
how
Nally.
much Trey hates looking at the back of my head. He is just slowly and surely inched closer and closer to the
I
camera.
did that at literally the start of the show. I haven't moved since.
Hello.
I mean, that's believable.
Thanks.
That he hasn't moved. since
Josh
the
has
show.
gotten to be a sassy bitch over the last 10 minutes for some reason.
10 years.
Better than how
Well,
20
surely
years.
you were at the
Wait,
start.
how
of
old are
last
you?
Really up
this
this
week.
game in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the Price is Right. The
listened back, it wasn't
Yodi, Yodi, Yodi. That,
Oh no, it was before the podcast. I just kept calling you out.
That was fine.
Okay.
I wasn't surly at all.
I missed all of that.
You didn't get the Price is Right reference?
he started off
I didn't hear the beginning of
surly
his. I
bitch.
just heard Yodi, Yodi, Yodi.
Yeah.
And I knew exactly what
Is
he was
that how
talking
you hail
about.
Hitler nowadays? Yodi, yodi, yodi.
I didn't hear any of the rest of that,
Ooh,
and I
that
knew
was solid.
you were talking about the press.
Your
right.
hands are so soft.
I
It
know, it's
amazes
amazing.
me every time.
Lots of lotion.
No, I don't use lotion.
I do.
You use lotion?
Well, I mean, like I lotion up on the tattoo. Keep it moisturized.
You supposed to do that?
Yeah.
Like, still?
It's good for the health of the tattoo.
How did Mary's parents take the tattoos?
It's all right.
They okay with them?
Yeah.
That's good. Did she prep them?
No.
Mary, help my brother out.
Come on, Mary.
Don't let that just be
That's
a
asking
bomb.
way too much of
Why are
her.
you bugging?
Talking to her parents.
It was fine.
All right. Let's talk about some shows. First impressions. First up, All Night on Hulu.
No.
Right in time for graduation.
Indeed.
Am I the only one who hated this show?
No, it sucked.
Okay.
It was a good.
I didn't finish it.
I liked
I
it.
did.
God damn it,
I
Evan.
did like it. I thought it was good.
So fucking generic. It is generic, the show.
I don't disagree with any of that, but
It
it
is
was
American Pie PG-13.
funny. Yeah.
I stopped
Yeah.
at about the time that it was incredibly clear that the super popular jock guy who is dating the hot girl is really gay.
So you stopped 5 minutes
It
in.
was about 10.
Like,
clocked
it's
it.
abundantly
He might have
clear.
found religion. You don't know.
Which is it?
I don't know yet. I only watched the first episode. They don't say.
Oh, okay.
I did feel uncomfortable because they show that girl in, like, lingerie underwear, and I was
And
like,
she's
you are
supposed to be-
clearly young.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
even, like, I'm sure you're 18 or over in real life, but I was like, you are young.
I was watching it on my phone at work. I felt real uncomfortable.
I would have stopped doing that.
I did at that scene, as a matter of fact, but it was just because it was unabashedly horrible.
I thought the nerdy guys were funny.
No, that's the scene I
No.
quit at.
That was my
Never
least
mind.
favorite part.
No, and then like
And it made me mad they were playing Magic. It made me real sad.
slightly less skanky Megan Fox that gets trapped in the basement with that dude.
Yeah.
She was attractive.
Slightly less skanky Megan
Megan
Fox.
Fox is an attractive girl despite
Megan Fox-
having
She's skanky.
toe thumb.
She does have toe thumbs, but she is
It is
extremely hot, and
impossible.
she is skanky.
She looks like she's sticky. Like if you touch her, the
True story, but
Mhm.
it is impossible to look at Megan Fox now and not think solely about her toe thumbs.
That's not true.
Dude, no, they're. Have you seen them?
I've seen them, and that is not what I think about.
she looks like
They're
she
freaky.
just walked off of the beach, but had like a bunch of like sunscreen on. So she's like gritty and lotiony at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she looks like all the time.
Yeah, you do, girl.
What's up, girl?
I mean, I think she's incredibly attractive. She is literally 100% fake, but that's okay.
So no one else is going to finish all night?
No,
No.
Nope.
I'm out. Cut.
To keep.
Hard cut.
Man, you just astound me.
It's
sometimes.
30 minutes, and it's 8 episodes, and I kind of liked it.
Enjoy it.
I'll try. I mean, maybe it ends up sucking for me, but I liked it.
Man, those two nerds that are like crawling through the vents and
Yeah,
shit.
they're creepy, and they're funny, because
isn't
they're
that
looking for a
literally-
cosplay girl.
Isn't that literally not another teen movie?
I'm going to go ahead and tell you that's going to wind
Maybe.
up being a guy.
No,
I bet it is.
I don't think so.
I
I think
bet
it's going to
it
be
is.
someone completely unexpected, though.
Also,
Yeah, a
that chick
guy.
is 21.
Huh?
That chick is 21.
Good
Trey's
for her.
on
She
this.
looks young.
Good for her?
being 21.
Oh, okay. It sounded the other way around.
just
You were
curious.
like, good for her. She looks young. Like,
I mean, she does look young.
it was uncomfortable.
I would card her.
Okay.
If you know what I mean.
Chuck is
Is that
trying to find a
slang?
euphemism in that.
No, I mean it speaks for itself, really.
Oh, no.
To give cash back.
Yeah, you want to know where it comes from.
Double
though.
miles. Safe on Netflix. A Michael
mean-
C. Hall joint.
I did
Yeah.
not get to this.
It's a limited series. It's about
It's
a
real
kidnapping.
Even though he is not.
he's not
And
at
it is
all, and
clear.
it's weird, man.
I
I
don't
thought
think
that was. I thought he was actually British. or
No,
something.
He's
not,
from he's from
not
North
unless,
Carolina.
Yeah, not unless
Really?
that Britain owned North
Are
Carolina.
you serious?
40 years
No, no,
ago.
not because the accent was
They
like
kinda
really
do.
good or anything, but I just could swear at some point I thought I'd read that like
We talked about it and asked that question when we saw the trailer,
okay.
but we didn't know. And I was like, I don't think he is.
I had for some reason
Michael
at some
C.
point
Hall?
thought that
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
and the
definitely
accent,
not.
It's
Okay,
bad.
it's not good.
And I don't think he's the only fake British person on this show.
I would believe that.
Like, there is some really British talk going on.
The show sucked 99.9% of
I
the time.
hate it.
At the very end of it, I was like, "Oh, that's
You
it.
like it,
That's-
don't you?
no, I also was like, man,
I
they-
didn't see the. I only realized this was we're about to start. I did not see the last 5 minutes of this.
Oh, that's like the best part.
It's the only part. It is. It's
So
it
Kinda.
secrets and lies you hard.
Damn it. Well, I'm glad
it
I didn't
sure
see
as
it.
fuck does. It's exactly
I'm
what
glad
I thought.
I didn't see it,
It-
that way. I'm not like suckered into this because I hated the rest of that episode.
Man, I was like, oh, and while I was watching it, Chuck was like, I'm really interested to have a discussion, and I was like, oh, like God, Chuck likes this. Like,
No,
like, am I missing
No,
something? So I was
I
like
knew he
looking at it
hated
really
this.
critically.
I liked exactly 5 minutes, maybe less, maybe 4ish.
whatever. Yeah,
Probably
whatever that
exactly
last,
where I
when
stopped
that dude
watching.
rolls into the garage, I was like, oh, like this is interesting.
Yes, and there's so many like sideways glances and the dun dun dun.
It's not good.
It's
not
not.
good.
It's set for the secrets and lies. I mean, they just drop a big stash of
That
secrets
was
and lies.
good enough
right
that
on
I
there.
at least thought about. Like, it's only 8
What happens?
episodes.
Spoilers for
Kristen finished this show, by the way,
Really?
since Sunday.
Damn.
It's 8 episodes. It's like 40
what happens
minutes.
at the end of the first episode? I'm not going back.
There's
to
a
watching
bunch of shit that like falls down, and then the one of the guy who went on vacation.
This. Yes.
He opens up the garage. He's like takes a tarp off of this like freezer, and he starts crying. And they like open it up, and there's a dead frozen body inside of
We
it.
don't know who it is.
No, it's the boyfriend.
Yeah, it's the chicks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there's like they show like a bunch of clips from like different perspectives of each individual. It's like a suspect row.
Yeah,
of-
the whole
it's
thing on this
exactly
is-
like the end of Secrets and
Yeah,
Lies.
yeah. And the whole thing about this is also kind of secrets and lies of like he starts finding out all these secrets that are going on from like their network
some
and their
lies.
street and all this stuff. Yes,
Somebody had to make the joke.
it is very much like that, just not as good.
No, it's not. There's not nearly as much intrigue at the beginning of it, and the acting is worse.
Yeah,
is
the
weird.
acting's
Which is
bad.
crazy because he is such a good actor.
He is a good actor.
but he does bad British accent.
Why couldn't he
Turns
just
out.
been like an American guy that
Living
moved
over
to-
there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never understood the need for that. We have plenty of like British people in American shows that they're hey, you just moved here.
yeah.
You know? 'Cause
It's-
it happens.
Also, plenty of British people who do American accents.
It's
too,
also
though.
kind of the same lazy hack stuff. Like if they're in China, they all speak with British accents, or if they're in like Africa, they
Yeah,
all
British
speak.
is like the go-to.
It's the go-to. It's the default accent.
Wyatt Cenac actually has a joke about that in one of his,
especially in like fantasy stuff. But
like one of his albums, and it's just apt. I mean, it is.
Did you
like-
watch that show?
I
Speaking
did.
of which, let's just talk about that.
I liked
Wyatt
it.
Cenac's problem areas.
I liked it. I didn't
I
like
don't
it as
care for it a whole lot.
I
this
mean,
is one I
it's
didn't get to.
oh my god. This is Trey Elliott the show.
I don't know
shit.
if I like it.
I think he will. It's like it's got John Oliver mixed with like more scripted cut stuff.
It's very scripted.
It is very
incredibly
scripted, but
it's-
it also has
It's
non-scriptive
informative.
stuff as well, and it is
It's a unique
super social
perspec-
justice
yeah.
warrior.
It's
It
like
is.
a unique perspective show.
There's a
Well,
bit of
I will
his own
say-
personal bias mixed in there, which is his show, so that's allowed.
That's
but
fine. Yeah. What's this on?
it's HBO.
HBO. Yeah, I mean, I might possibly. Obviously, I do like John Oliver quite a bit. I will say, there's also stuff like Bill Nye, while I agree with him, I can recognize this. Show fucking
It
sucks.
reminded me. It's better than Bill Nye, but it reminded me of it.
It didn't remind me of Bill Nye at all, personally.
It felt like John Oliver guest spotted like a drunk history. Like it's got those kind of cuts
stuff
with
in it, but yeah, there's.
but
The
like
weird, animated stuff. I didn't like. I mean, he was clear.
It helps that Wyatt Cenac is one of my favorite comedians out there. I really, really enjoy.
I like
him.
his stuff away from that. He was just kind of clear some of the stuff. Like the way he started going in on rich white men doing all the space stuff. I'm like, yeah, but you are skipping over all of the many benefits of what they're doing.
Yes, part of that is for information. Part of that is his slant, and yes, part of it is
that was not
effect.
a problem area though.
I thought it was funny.
Well, he also spends the most of the episode on police brutality.
That is, but the whole thing is the description on it. He has 3 problem areas listed, and one of them is the space problem. He literally didn't say a problem. He said something which I thought was kind of stupid.
It didn't bug me.
There was a good point of him don't put all your faith in rich people. You should be trying to save your planet. It is, but he went through 6 minutes of content before that, which did not need to be said to justify that.
I thought it was super tongue-in-cheek funny. I mean, he said rich white people are trying to leave the planet and leave us all behind. I thought it was funny.
I mean, that's a funny
pretty
joke.
funny.
It just wasn't really told in that way to me.
Also,
It made me laugh.
I loved his little quotations of himself too, the masturbation is so much better when you've earned it or whatever, and they just said Wyatt Cenac that kind of shit.
There are funny moments. I laughed at the show. I don't hate it. I just don't ever care if I watch it again. Its user scores are not great.
I'm worried about his tone and his cadence and things like that. He's not a super popular comedian.
I don't see this going very long. It's HBO, so it could certainly get more than one season, but I just don't see it lasting
Tell that
very
to
long.
Bill Simmons.
That's fair. That did not go well.
No.
That was a bummer.
Ben Affleck killed it.
Yep. He was drunk off his ass in the first episode, and HBO came out did not care for that.
It was fucking glorious though.
He just yelled curse words at Roger Goodell for most of the interview.
Pretty great. Pretty great.
And then finally, Patrick Melrose on Showtime. A Benedict Cumberbatch joint. This is based off of a book.
Yes.
Melrose Place.
Yes, correct.
I didn't watch this.
A character that
I didn't
he
get to this
apparently
one.
has wanted to play for a very long time.
I had never heard of this.
Same here.
I don't really know what it's about. It's a guy that comes from a rich family with his dad's an asshole, and his dad
bit of a pedophile.
and it's Hugo Weaving. And his dad dies, and he is just a train wreck of a person into all kinds of drugs. And it's about him going to collect his father's ashes, and then so he just tries to
Trey remembered something.
get on the right path, so he just decides to stay in New York at the end of episode 1. It's a shallow story that I'm sure is going to take more, but oh my God, so much happens, and he is, it's the best Benedict Cumberbatch has ever been.
He's really fucking good in this.
It's insane. Also, when he takes that Quaalude, when he's sitting there with his aunt or
And
something,
he is all the lewds have hit.
he just all of a sudden he's just he just melts. It's so fucking funny.
It's
also,
a very
when he
funny
has-
show.
When he has an incredibly just a blunt conversation with the drug dealer, that he was like, "You weren't really gonna stab me, were you?" And he was like, "Oh yeah," and he just pulls out the knife, and he's like, "Oh, thank you for not stabbing me." I loved this.
I don't know if I like the show. I do think you would like this show, to be fair. But he is a contender for the free-for-all actor of the year because he was incredible.
I don't know
you
how
can
a
watch
human
him-
being functions that way.
Oh, I don't either.
It was hard to watch for me. I was just, even just that part of it, I was like, I am having trouble watching you go down this hole.
Some of the
Sealed up
needles
eye fucked
stuff
with
was
me. Oh,
rough.
God. The beginning where he's bending him, and then he's like, you know
Yeah,
what?
he's going to give up heroin for the 40th time, so he bends all the needles back, and then he's like, well, the plane ride could be tense, so he starts bending the needle back with his hand and just trying to shoot up
he
with it,
uses
and
a
I'm like,
bicycle
yeah,
pump at one point.
essentially a bike pump.
he
to
sticks
shoot
it
up
in and just
heroin.
goes, oh, shit!
he missed his vein.
He
and
comes out and he's just pouring blood. He's like, it doesn't work.
It's rough, but
It's very
it is
fast-paced, too,
It's
man.
fast-paced. It's obviously you get to watch Benedict Cumberbatch act his ass off,
yeah.
and then on top of that, it's just so wonderfully fucking weird.
It's real weird, man. There's some
I
weird
love
choices in the direction, in the style it's shot.
I love the style of it, though.
Yeah,
man.
I like
Man,
it. I'm not
it
saying
is
that, but
really
it's
fast.
weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
The
even know what
cuts
to.
are really quick.
It's
A lot of
hard
it.
to even talk about it.
It is very difficult to explain, but yeah, I mean, there's a second episode
Critics
out already.
love
I'm gonna give
the
it another.
show.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna give it another episode or two.
Yeah, it's 2 or 3, and it's also limited. I think it's only 5 episodes total.
It's 5 episodes limited series.
Oh, it's totally. Yeah, I'm gonna watch the whole
Oh,
thing.
Yeah, there's no
Did
way
we
I don't
do
watch
keep
all
or
this.
cut on all the other ones?
We did not, but
It sounded like Safe was a cut for everyone.
Yeah, I'm cutting that.
Cut.
Yep.
Patrick Melrose keep
Probably.
tentative keep for me. And maybe if I have time,
I'm curious what
I
the
struggled
next
to
episode
watch
looks
it.
like after that.
Wyatt
an hour
Cenac
each?
is a push for me just
yeah,
because
it's
I
like
don't
a
know if
full
I
hour.
need another half hour.
problem area is a cut for me.
Yeah, I'm going to cut that too.
Yeah.
Oh, Black Banner's in the show.
All right, let's do finish shows. Trey,
Oh Lord.
Homeland, sir.
Yeah. I thought
I finished.
thought you were putting me up.
Finally, you guys get to talk about this. I feel like we've been talking about it for months.
We pushed it 2 weeks.
It feels longer than that.
Well, it wasn't.
Thoughts?
You're still not where I want you. Nay, need you to be.
Homeland's gone downhill a little bit, man.
Man, I could at least like last season. I totally understood. Like I was like, all right, I don't agree,
last
but I
season
get
was
it.
the worst season of Homeland, like by a mile, to me.
And probably not the by the mile part, but it's probably my least favorite.
This
season of
is
Homeland.
far better than last season. There are some really good parts
Dude,
this season.
There's so much spy shit in this. It is awesome.
To me, it's either the second worst or the third worst season. Probably the third worst. I still have this ahead season 4. Season 4 was also a waste of a
I'd
season.
have to.
It's the first season without Brody.
Okay, that's fair.
When we were like, we don't know what this show's going to do.
Yeah.
5's amazing. That's when they're in Berlin. Berlin season's
Yeah.
incredible. Outside of the first 2, it's my favorite. But anyways, that's a lot of inside baseball about Homeland.
No, so yeah, this is all the Quinn stuff is behind us now.
Thank Christ.
Yeah, and again, I didn't hate it like you did, but I at least saw where you were coming from last season. Like Carrie is dealing with being fucking crazy again, which is always wonderful.
For the first time, it wasn't for me, man.
Really?
It felt like a crutch for me. Like, she went from like, they address, there are times it's good. Like, she is bipolar, and that has both hurt her career, and it also, when she's got it under control, but using it as what makes her
Yes.
great. And they even say that.
Yeah, and that's
In
what
there.
I love about it.
When she goes full on like hallucinatory, I was just like, oh my God. I was like,
It doesn't stay that way for long though.
but because she takes drugs, and now it's the threat of it constantly. Like when she was in jail, and clearly that's where the season is. She doesn't even know who Saul is and all this stuff because she's been
Yeah.
deprived of her pills, and that's where we're going to pick up next year. And I was like, damn it.
Um,
Also, the president of the United States
is the worst. But
and also in this show, but like she is like, and it's not even character to get like. I have trouble watching it.
so I will say that I do think it's very intentional that she is a character you're not supposed to like.
Oh no, yeah, that is true.
And I think they do a damn good job of it.
This show got too topical for me. Like
Yeah.
there was a lot of like what's going on, like the Russia stuff, like hitting home. They clearly address social media's role in it.
Yeah.
Like it's
It was-
the point of the season, and I'm like, really? Like
I guess I thought
I
it was
guess
like
I just want an escape from that, and I want to see some more like classic spy shit, and not like the nefarious guy that puts up fake news.
Yeah, I guess because it wasn't directly dealing with it. Like we're
I
gonna
do like
talk
that it was Oleg from the Americans, though.
Well, yeah.
That guy's awesome.
He
and
is.
evidently just can only play Russians.
No, like I think there's something about the fact that even though it is clearly paralleling the stuff that is going on in real politics
Mm.
currently, it doesn't. It's obviously not naming any names or anything like that. Versus, and if you guys tune into the Upfront show that we'll have out later, my issue like with all these like sitcoms that are coming back and stuff is that they specifically just fucking talk about Trump
yeah.
all the goddamn time.
Yeah. Think Roseanne.
Well, I mean, before that it was Will Grace, and it's
It
gonna be
is.
Murphy
Roseanne
Brown, and
has caused a like flurry of it.
either way.
The Murphy Brown one didn't bother me. That new show, the
Oh,
one
the
from
Murphy
the
Brown one
70s, man.
Well, we'll talk
yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
sorry.
Anyway,
That-
point being, I think this didn't bother me as much because as soon as you said that, I went, man, that didn't bother me, and it totally. I was ready to rail on it in the Upfront show.
It's because
I
they
think it's
can
'cause it's
because
not-
they live in a different world where Donald Trump isn't
Is
president.
not president, yeah. But no, I can totally see where you're coming from on that.
It
point.
got to me, man. It really got to me.
It got to me more with the whole Infowars dude.
The first 3 episodes of this season they serve zero purpose outside of they're like, we just need to write out this character.
Yeah, we got to wrap
It
this
does
up.
nothing for the story. It literally does nothing for the
You
story.
get to hang out with Saul some.
That's it. I'd be cool. Like, give him something. Like, there was no reason for it whatsoever. They didn't need what the kid died because they repeatedly show him doing other stuff in the social media, like putting up fake news and all other stuff.
Right.
Like, I literally can't think of a reason why we need to say that outside they needed to write my least favorite character on TV out.
I'm with you on him being one of my least favorite
Because he's a
characters.
bad actor, too,
Yes,
in this.
and that
It's not
accent
just that
is
they
the
made him
worst.
like an asshole. His accent is bad. Like, it's just all around, it's really bad.
But that said, I think what made me high on the season, and I'm not saying it's like obviously like the best season of Homeland or anything, but the reason I really enjoyed this season was that the thing I did miss last season.
There was some spy shit this
there
time.
was no spy shit last year. This year there was some spy, like when they were fucking
The
like
last
breaking
two
into people's houses and putting shit together. Oh, it was so
With the
good.
FBI agent, when they figure it out,
Yeah.
Saul, and it's so obvious to Saul, that's what I liked. He was like,
Yeah.
really? A guy just stumbled over, and she was
Yeah.
like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's all. From then on, it got a lot better outside of the president when I was like, come on, seriously. But when they go, the last 2 episodes over in Russia are great. I was like, this is Homeland.
Yeah.
And even though the president would come in, I'm like, oh my God, go off screen. Especially when the vice president like had control of the office and he told Paley and he was like, get the fuck out of my White House because he was going to do the right thing. I was like, you should be president. I
Yeah.
was like, don't give it up. And then they at least end that way.
Yeah.
But that was really also a bit ham-fisted with her and like, I'm resigning because I'm part of the problem. And I was like, oh my God, you are the most commenting on Trump right now, but of like what you wish would happen and should
Yeah.
be done by a good person. I was like, it was a bit much for me. And I guess I see it so much now. They are less obvious because it's a different world, but I was just like, did we have to do that? Like, it was very obvious what
That's
they were
fair.
doing to me. Anyways, I don't know. What happened to Max's brother? He just exists in this world and he's gone now? Like the guy that she originally used for all her tech stuff, and
I
then
guess.
now it's just Max?
I honestly don't remember that dude, so I guess he doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I guess so.
What are we talking about?
Homeland.
Jesus, really?
Yep.
Come on.
Fuck you.
I mean, I had to come back.
Uh,
I don't give a fuck.
yeah, you do. Santa Clarita Diet. Whoever wrote the note, we just talked first impressions last time, so.
Yep.
Whoever wrote that.
It was me.
Okay, yeah, we only talked. I'd only seen the first 2 episodes.
Oh, okay.
You had finished it.
Yeah.
Severed head.
Right? Nathan Fillion is wonderful in this.
He's back
He's great.
He is so
and
good.
ahead.
Neighbor continues to be the best part.
Oh man.
Oh no,
he's-
Timothy the Elephant
he's
continues
adorable.
to be the best.
He
part.
makes the show work. That show doesn't work without him. This is probably his best work.
his comedic timing
Is spot on.
fucking insane.
Anytime he says "what the fuck," it's just
Yeah,
like the
Oh,
best.
son of a bitch, or just what the fuck? And like, it's so good.
Like his ability to continue to be surprised by the insanity happening around him is what makes the show.
The daughter was better this year too.
Yes, she was. I
him
really liked her this
him
season.
looking at the bookshelves in the Nazi house. He's like, "Holy shit,
That's
tongue
Hancock
and
Ball.
groove." Oh my god, he really did this himself.
The
What the fuck?
It's charging as much as I can do.
Hold on, Facebook. The little like the lore is starting to intrigue me of like where they're gonna go with it.
Yeah.
and all this. I also like the fact that like the one chick is like basically worshiping him now. Like she's a big time Christian, but like seems confused
Oh,
about like
okay.
what's about. Yeah, so when they find out that
Oh,
she's
yeah, that's
resurrected
right.
from the dead, she
And they've
treats
got-
her like her savior.
Nathan Fillion's head and
Yeah, and he's like, "Hello."
hey,
And she's like, "Please, Lord, give me a sign." And then there's this huge inferno where the neighbor and Abby blow up the fracking site.
fracking. Yeah,
It's
That was-
really good, man. That
that
show
was
is
funny.
awesome.
Yeah, the two like
Season 2 is way better than season
people
1.
who
I
are like
agree.
hunting. I
Those
guess,
guys are
with-
awesome. It's got
yeah,
the weird loners guy.
Yeah. And then
He's also in
weird
a new show on
spider
Upfront.
things that
It's
come out of the
Magnum
ball.
PI.
It is Magnum PI. You're right.
he's the ideal guy.
Unfortunate bastard.
It's going to run for
It's
a
going
long
to do
time.
great.
Trey's going to be its
I'm
number
excited
one
for
fan.
it.
God damn it.
No,
Steve.
Kristen's going
Spoilers.
to be way above you. I'll go ahead and tell you.
fair.
She's seen every single episode of Hawaii Five-0.
I'm so
I've
sorry.
heard that show's not bad.
It's not good.
Fair enough.
It's
Never
got
seen
Hurley
so-
in
Does
it.
Jin just say us a lot?
I hope that show is one
That
day
was
just a
racist.
secret lost spinoff.
That is what he said. He ran to the camera and he goes, others. Others.
He does. I mean, it's slightly racist, but yes, he does say that.
You can't force that joke, Chuck.
Oh, he can, and it works. Trey,
Yo.
talk to me about the city of Chicago
In all its
and
public municipal
it's
Tell me
located
about
in
its medical
Illinois.
needs, its policing needs, and its
Policing
fire needs.
but not its justice. Fuck that. We don't care.
It is anarchy there.
No, Chicago
Oh,
Justice
God.
just lives on in Law and Order SVU.
I wish you ran for office for all your policing needs. Sorry, that's the last time I interrupt, I promise.
It's okay. And also, no, it's not.
Keep that promise.
No, so these shows continue to be the best part of my week every week. I shit you not. I
He gets
love
to
them
see his
so
son
much.
Fuck
on
you,
occasional-
Brittany.
Occasional week.
God.
Lane
I-
knows where he stands.
Yeah, Lena's like, I am not a
In
Chicago
regards
show.
to TV,
If
you
there's
assholes.
a show called Chicago Lane, you'd be on the list.
Yeah,
you're
but
not
there's
so-
not.
Get out! That is
So-
just one road and the goings on that road. How much do you want the Shy to be a part of this?
Lane,
whole
Lane.
fucking
Oh, if
network?
only. It's gonna happen eventually.
It's not.
You don't know. You don't fucking know, Josh.
Go on, sir.
Anyways, yeah, they're doing some interesting stuff with a few of the characters. They wrote off a pretty big character this year. A character named Gabby Dawson, who's been there since like
Is
the
that
beginning
what's her
of
name?
Chicago Fire. Chick from
Okay, it's not who I was thinking then.
Did you not think it was a chick?
No, you know this girl's name immediately, even though I don't. So you would
Oh, okay.
say it if it was who I was
This is the
thinking.
girl that was on oh fuck, what's that show where the guy read faces to tell if people were lying or not? Lie to me.
InfoWars.
Yeah, that
.com.
show. It's the girl off InfoWars. No, she's leaving the show. I was assuming that's what happened, given the season finale. She like signs up to go to Puerto Rico to like help out with like the relief effort down there or whatever.
First mistake.
Yeah, fuck Puerto Rico.
Not even
Uh,
state.
But yeah, she's officially off. But no, they
It's a great football.
I think
player.
my only complaint about these shows at this point is I really loved that they were willing to cancel or kill off some people.
They've always been willing to do that.
They haven't been as willing. They've definitely teased it a few times over the last few
Oh.
years, but
Wily bastards.
they end up like they end up being alive, which they used to be. They would just fucking kill them.
Yeah, you sing that
back
the
in my
praises
day,
Yeah.
they would fucking kill him.
in my Chicago.
They did wrap up in Chicago PD.
Make Chicago great again.
I would wear that.
I know you would.
No, in Chicago
Not gonna
PD, they had a storyline that's been going for like 2 years about this dude who, basically, like the main dude on that show is kind of like a bad cop. But
Which one on PD?
On PD, yeah, Hank Voight. He does like bad shit for like
John's cousin.
good reasons.
That would make sense.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Anyways, he had another dude that like basically did the same thing for a while and then like turned around and was trying to take him down, and that's been going on for like 2 years. They finally wrapped that up, so I'm super happy about that.
What's your
'cause it
favorite
was
of
getting a
these
little
three?
old. Fire, easily.
I think that's also
Does it
true
still
in the
have the guy
ratings.
from House on it.
Yes, it does.
Omar Epps.
Captain Casey.
He's a captain.
He is a captain. Promoted 3 years ago.
He was Dr. Chase initially.
Yeah, but now
I
he's
really
Captain
like
Casey.
how-
It's about
for the
time he's been
7
busting his
seasons.
ass for years on the mean streets of Chicago.
Dr. Chase sounds like a third-rate DC hero.
Yeah.
Kinda.
I'm sure it is.
Med is definitely the least fair to 3. I like it because I like medical procedurals in general, but definitely like half that cast, I constantly, me and Brittany will watch and I'll be like, I fucking hate this person.
Code
Like they just
Black.
make such shitty
I
decisions
think that got canceled
all the
finally.
time.
Oh, did it?
Maybe.
What?
I
What
don't
got
know.
canceled?
Code
One's out of
Black.
work again?
I don't know about Code Black. Night Shift did get canceled. This
Night
year.
Shift. That's the one I was thinking of. It finally got
that
canceled.
show was actually really good the first season, but I never kept up with it.
Yeah, I remember you liked that show.
Somebody
it was
on
solid,
my-
and it had that chick from Royal Pains in it who was smoking hot.
Are you excited for the All Chicago night next year?
Yes, I am. Well, I'm a little bittersweet about it, if we're being honest. I'm excited.
You like to spread your Chicago out.
Yeah, it's. I literally,
Chicago seed, if you will.
I literally like I only watch on Hulu,
cream cheese.
so I watch like the next night. So like right now, like Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, or I'm sorry, make
Now,
that one night
by
later.
God,
Anyways,
Thursday night, you better watch some Chicago.
but it's just it's been nice that it's like 3 days
Staggered.
a week I get Chicago. Now it's just because I'll definitely watch them all on Thursday. There's no way that doesn't happen every Thursday.
Yeah, it'd be fucking lunacy.
It's appointment television.
Fuck those movies that come out on Thursdays.
Oh, Josh, talk to me about Cobra Kai.
I love this show so much. So last we spoke, I had watched the first 8 episodes of 10.
Yeah, we only spoke.
You guys only
about
spoke on
the
the first one. There's just something about like this show. It just hit me at the right point, I think, in time. I really enjoy the original Karate Kid movie more than I thought I did. It turns out.
Maybe I don't like it as much as I thought I did.
There are just
I love it.
there are
Love the
things in this show that I like that they kind of turn on their head. I talked a little bit about this last time, but the fact that Johnny Lawrence is absolutely, even though he's a shitty one, he is the hero of this show.
Oh, without a doubt, they established that early.
Yeah, and Daniel LaRusso is definitely
He's a
more the villain.
douchebag. Yeah.
So in the first episode, did you guys remember meeting
Why does he
his
always
son at
play-
all? Johnny Lawrence's son?
No. But I do like that Daniel LaRusso has only been cast as kind of a douche since then.
Yeah, makes me think that Ralph Macchio may indeed
Must
just
be
be a
because remember
douchebag.
Entourage?
Yeah,
He wasn't a douche in Psych.
I haven't watched that.
I can't remember him in Psych all of a sudden.
He was the police guy that trained them for the police academy, and they thought it was going to be like they were like make funny sounds with your mouth. He's like, I don't do that. He's like, oh,
That's
at
right.
police academy.
That's funny.
So
It's
I
all
mean,
funny.
yeah. Spoilers: Johnny Lawrence's son initially tries to get a job, or does get a job at LaRusso's auto shop because he wants to piss off his father. Basically, he's basically the rebellious son because Lawrence skipped out on his mother immediately. Was like an absent father his whole life.
Johnny.
And
It's classic Johnny.
turns out that he ends up being trained by Daniel without Daniel ever knowing that he's Johnny Lawrence's son. It comes down to another Tri-City or under 18 tournament where Cobra Kai has to earn their way back in because they were a lifetime ban. There's just a lot of funny like back and forth between the two of those characters that I love so much. LaRusso is like the head committee for...
Did they make their way back in? Spoilers for
They do.
Cobra Kai.
I mean, that's one episode arc, but basically he goes to try and argue for Cobra Kai, and nobody on the panel knows why they were banned. And then LaRusso shows up, and he's essentially the head of the entire committee and argues strongly to keep them cut out. What I like is like the show ends up in the same spot. So Cobra Kai is bad again, but not intentionally. Like he totally wants to do well. He wants to teach these kids to do good, but through a circumstances outside of his control, like the main kid, Diaz, the Hispanic kid,
Right.
ends up being a real asshole toward the end because he feels slighted by his girlfriend, who ends up being Daniel LaRusso's daughter. He kind of
course
accidentally
she is.
hits her.
I was gonna say, man, there's a lot of coincidences in this show.
Yeah. But basically, like, and he ends up going after Lawrence's son, and like they end up in like he injures him, and they do a lot of fun things with that. Like
This is
at the
going to
beginning
end
of
in
the tournament-
chemical warfare.
Yeah, basically.
Coincidentally.
And I will
At the
watch
beginning,
this.
at the beginning of the tournament, like Diaz pulls out the crane kick, and it's when he's very clearly like Johnny Lawrence is trying to get in Daniel LaRusso's like head, so he like whispers in his ear, and in the very first match he wins with a crane kick immediately.
When they
and
don't
he just
call it
stares.
illegal.
No, they don't. And he just stares LaRusso down, like laughs about it and everything. But he ends up in the same spot. It ends teasing the original sensei from Cobra Kai. I can't remember his name. Is back.
That guy's alive?
Yeah, I couldn't fucking believe it.
Man.
But
I'm
like
on it.
He hasn't been seen in a long
he is
time.
not. I think since the next Karate Kid, because didn't he come back in that one?
I don't know. I blocked that movie out, Trey.
There's a fucking hawk, bro.
God damn it,
That
Trey.
movie is so bad.
So like the stuff that like actually got to me kind of emotionally is like there's an episode when he does finally decide, LaRusso, that he wants to kind of take karate up again and kind of get back to that like point in life. He's visiting Miyagi's grave, and you kind of get the sense that this really was like a hugely important figure who helped turn his life around and basically set him up for all the success he has. And then he starts becoming Miyagi with Johnny's son, basically. So he's teaching him all the things. He's teaching him like wax on, wax off and stuff like that, but doing it in like a little montage scene that it worked like really effectively for me.
Even Rocky had one.
He's alive and he works a lot.
Really?
He's got a shit ton of credentials.
Anything good?
Cobra Kai
Let's
season 1.
see.
So while Chuck is looking at that, I just remembered a thing while we were talking about this.
All right. That's
I
a rare
read the
occasion.
novelization of The Next Karate Kid.
You don't talk about that, okay?
No, I did. Before the
No.
movie came out.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
There's a lot of novelizations of movies.
He's in the
like-
Goldbergs.
Does that have pictures?
No. It's a
I bet they did a
full-on
Karate
novel.
Kid episode, and he was in the Goldbergs.
They absolutely did a episode about
Criminal
that.
Minds. He's in a bunch of straight to DVD movies.
That is
Oh,
the
He's
least
working, man. Good on him.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he works a lot,
I'm
man. He
surprised
does
he
like
was not
4 or
dead.
5 movies a year.
I mean, he doesn't get paid a lot for them.
He gets paid more than we do.
True story.
That is true.
Yeah.
Like there was a really
Definitely.
I mean, look at that hair.
Depends on the movie.
Look at that hair. I mean, that is just stellar. That guy makes bank.
They do a lot of like playing with the lore and like making like funny jokes at it as well. So like as LaRusso's student, Johnny Lawrence's son gets hurt toward the end, they're like in the back and he like doesn't know if he can compete or whatever. And of course, what's supposed to come, and LaRusso claps his hands together and you think he's gonna do the rubbing, and he starts to, and he's like, medic, and he calls for like an actual person to come take a look at him, a doctor or whatever. But there's like an emotional scene between them where he is like mouthing off about how much he hates his father, and LaRusso is like, you can't really blame him, like
He just
he had a bad teacher or a bad father figure can really ruin you, and he had the worst of them all type thing. And like it was just a really cool poignant moment put in between all the fun in between. And I like seeing like it's kind of like the formation of a 80s bad guy supergroup in a way, the way Cobra Kai starts to come together and everybody gets their own personalities in there. The kid with the
if
cleft lip,
if Von Drago comes in, then I'm in.
the kid with the cleft lip like becomes like he like gets a mohawk and like starts being called Hawk instead because Lawrence like just berated him, calling him Lip the entire time. He's like, until you take the fucking pressure away, until you take our eyes away from that lip, I'm just gonna keep calling you Lip the entire time.
All right.
I
He
don't know.
wills his lip to uncleft.
I don't know. I really
Using his chi.
I really had a fun time with that show.
Center it. By the way, that dude has done 12 acting credits for 2018. 12.
Damn.
Dude gets work, bruh.
Including Max Reload and the Nether Blasters
Oh, that sounds
as Gramps Jenkins.
Oh,
Yeah,
all
the
of that.
fifth
is
lead in
sexual.
that. I'm telling you, it didn't make a ton.
I mean, even if
That's why it works a lot, though.
I mean, even if it was like 20,000 for like a couple of months.
Yeah, he's
He
doing
did
a lot.
12.
Yeah, he's doing a lot. Oh, sweet bitter.
Also, he's the lead. Don't say fifth. He is the lead
Cool.
in Max Reloaded the Nether Blasters. You give that man respect.
I will. He
that
has all
sounds
of it.
like the shittiest like orgasmo porn.
No, it looks like fucking Far Cry. God.
Max Reload and the
Tron?
Nether Blasters.
No, it looks like Far Cry.
sounds like a superhero who shoots
that
out his
looks
dick.
Blood Dragon.
That looks off.
It looks just like Blood
That
Dragon.
is a Blood Dragon graphic.
Yes. It looks
They
just
could get sued.
I mean, to be fair, Blood Dragon could have gotten sued by Masters of the Universe.
I mean, there is like 100 references
Yeah.
in that. Trey, talk to me about Bull.
Yeah. Bull is wonderful.
You procedural loving motherfucker.
I do love them. There's
Bull's
a bunch
not
more we're going to talk
terrible.
about the upfronts that I'm also excited for. Bye Facebook.
Peace.
It was definitely charging,
You're the
but I
good
don't
one,
think
YouTube.
we could bring it back at that point.
iPads are just too ridiculous to try and charge.
Yeah. We'll have to. I think that cord may have. I thought it worked last week, but definitely wasn't charging.
Yeah, needs better.
Anyway,
I watched them.
Bull continues to be a wonderful procedural. Nothing really new or like exciting on this one. He does kind of go through a little bit as close to like personal dramas you can get in a procedural, where he has a little bit of a drinking problem, and that causes some issues for a few episodes toward the end there.
All
But
right.
honestly, outside of that, it's kind of business as usual on that show. It's still really good, and I really like all the characters. They'd gotten rid of like one of the girls on there. Her name is Cable.
Go on.
There you go, bringing you into the conversation. She's kind of like the kind of young, hip, like tech genius of the group, and she kind of does some fucked up shit at the end of last season. So she's like out for the first, I don't know, quarter or so of this season, But I was glad they brought her back in. She's one of the best characters outside of Bull.
All right.
And I forget his name now off the top of my head, but the lawyer that works with Bull, the guy who actually
Chantel.
Bear.
yes, both
Bear
of those
Chantel.
things. Yes,
Chantel Bear.
yeah,
No, that's ridiculous.
he goes by both.
My bad.
But anyways,
not that
Benny,
nasty.
that's his name in the
Benny Bear.
show. I don't know the actor's name.
He
but
has a band called the Jets.
anyways, he's also really wonderful. But that one, let's just say it is straight up just like I watch the show because it fills a procedural sized hole in my heart,
I mean,
which is really big, and I
How
need a lot
can
of
you
procedurals.
possibly have a procedural size hole in your heart?
I only watch like 5 of them, dude.
He has no heart.
it's
also that.
3 Chicago shows, SVU, Bull.
I think that's about it for procedurals.
Since Rosewood went away.
Yeah,
An
sadly.
Yeah, but Manual
there.
PI's coming.
So what? Man
Manual-
PI is coming.
Did you like that MacGyver remake?
No, I didn't.
That show was the hottest. of
Somebody
trash.
here did.
It was Kristen.
Kristen likes it. No, I can't. I don't think any of us like that show.
She
we
also
didn't.
marathoned The Chase. How about that?
Oh,
Oh, the camera's off. I forgot.
that one's on though.
Oh,
YouTube,
What is the
our
chase?
first love. It
that
was
show
the
is
Shonda Rhimes show that
god-awful.
inexplicably
Oh.
got picked up.
For the people. That's a new one I just added.
Foda.
Yeah,
It's a procedural.
and
Foda people show the rhymes.
Charger was definitely
that show
worth it.
inexplicably got picked up.
I'm so happy about it.
Like it had bad ratings, and they picked
Was
it
that
up.
the one that you thought for sure was done that he was
It was
all
the
excited about?
third worst show in that time slot all year.
And The Brave was on my list until it got canceled.
That's not a procedural.
It is kind of a procedural.
God, I hate TV sometimes.
Well, let's keep talking about it. Trey,
Yeah.
let's talk about Bosch, man.
Dude,
Right? Better every year.
it really is.
It's so
I
good.
will also
It might
say-
be top 10 this year.
Do you
It's been knocking on that door.
it's very possible. Do you find yourself having trouble starting it though?
No.
Okay. For whatever reason, this is one of those shows that like
Because it's slow.
it is it's not slow towards the end, but it definitely takes a little bit to kind of
Yeah.
get going.
It's a detective show. It's got to build the mystery.
Man, that it took me forever to watch that second episode. Like I did not have a desire to start that show, but about I don't know, into the third episode, maybe somewhere in the fourth.
Ain't no way you weren't hooked by the middle of 4.
Dude, I was like, this is so fucking good. I watched 9 episodes in a day.
Yeah, I did too, actually. It's wonderful, man. Full spoilers for Bosch season 4. Man,
Starring a friend of the show, Titus Welliver.
correct, and well done, sir. I need to write him and tell him thank you.
Yes, you
You
should.
better do it before I do.
Yeah, yes, I know you asshole. The one guy that watches.
Well, stop talking about it and do it.
I'm the one that
Shit or get off the
started that. Oh man. Anyways, yes, when his wife or ex-wife gets gunned down, dude,
Out of nowhere.
right?
I'm glad I'm like there wasn't
Like
something I
1
missed.
second before, I was like, "Oh no," because I was like the way
Oh,
they
yeah, yeah,
zoomed
you
out.
definitely saw it
but
coming
I was
then.
like, "Oh shit!" I was like, I didn't think she was gonna die, and then like my love for 24 kicked in, and I went, "Fuck you, Nina." Oh man, but Maddie is really good in this show. His
Yes.
daughter, like
Yeah.
especially this season after
I will say,
the mom died, she was good.
I like the character. I don't think she's a great actress.
I thought she was. I have
I
thought
the
that
crying
before.
was kind of rough.
This year, I thought she was
Like-
really good. Like and the way she handled it, like afterwards, like
Yeah. I like her like portrayal of that character. I just thought the emotional beats, like when she had to be like devastated, like,
Right.
I just thought it was a little rough.
J. Edgar and Harry are back together.
They are indeed. Jagger not so doing so hot with the ex misses.
No, she just wants him to be like permanent booty call though,
Basically,
and he wants his
She's-
wife back.
man, yeah,
role
I'm definitely
reversals.
on his side on this one. Like, it's kind of shitty what she's doing.
She's been a little misleading. She at least laid the cards on the table now.
Finally, but even that, she did it in like kind of a shitty way. She wasn't nice about it.
So without like doing research into this, like going out, I watched this season and I
Uh-huh.
was like, are they ending it? I was like, I mean, because not a ton of people watch Bosch, I didn't think, and
Right.
you know, going in and they wrapped up finally like the side plot of like him always investigating who killed his mom.
Yeah, that's been
is
going on
wrapped.
since season 1.
Yeah, and it's wrapped up now,
Mhm.
and they wrapped up like this
Or
big.
is
They wrapped up this big like political figure who was behind this year's murder, and it happened to be the same guy. And I was like, this just feels like a neat little bow. But where in reality, it's just kind of like they're just ready to move on. And so I read interviews from like the head of programming for Amazon. He was like, "This was our oldest scripted show." They're like, "It's a staple." They're like, "Sure, it's not our highest rated show, but like it's like has the exact same numbers every year." They were like, "We can count on knowing exactly what we get
That's awesome.
every single year from
And
them."
I'm sure it's not high budget or anything.
No, they're not. They were like out of loyalty. They were like, "We'll go on as long as they let us in this." So it's already renewed for season 5, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop.
Fuck yeah.
So
That makes me very happy.
right.
Because I also had the same thought of like, oh, what does this mean for the future of
It's
the
such
show?
a cool, it's just a good old-fashioned detective show, man.
It is, and I'll say I like that. Have you noticed? And
His house is also the greatest.
it is really awesome.
And they have a poster on the wall to explain why he has
Why
this
he has
awesome
that
house, and it's the only reason.
Which is totally, I'm sure, a thing in the books. It's like it's such like that type of like James Patterson type novel realized in live action film. Like, it makes me so happy.
That nails it.
It's also, I like that they constantly, the cops refer to police procedural things as if we should all know what like some sort of form or like some acronym is.
I had to look up a few.
I just like let it go. I'm just like, all right, well, I don't think I'm supposed to even know what the fuck they're talking about.
RH something or whatever. They kept saying that. It took me a while to figure it out. It was robbery homicide. RHD, robbery homicide division. That took me a little while to figure that one out. But yeah, like it's total just police speak, and I was like,
it's
All
all
that's
like-
easy to figure out is the RIPD.
it's correct.
It's like very it's not-
RIPD.
like if you looked at Rosewood, that police station looked like something out of like a fucking comic book or something. Like it was all these like clean lines and super modern, and like these guys are in like the Hollywood homicide division. It's not like they're in like Iowa or some shit.
Yeah, it is,
they're
but
in
it's-
fucking LA,
Fuck
and
you,
it's
Iowa.
a hole in the wall.
Yeah, it's great.
And I love all
The side like character cops that are just there are some of the best. Like the two older guys that are hilarious that they
that.
randomly
And are
had.
basically those two old dudes from the Muppets.
Yeah, and they had them solve the Koreatown killer thing that's been going on for 2 years and had the most anticlimactic ending
little
ever.
bit.
But it was great in
It
how they
was.
did it. And then the one guy that just is like, he's like the shift manager guy, the older guy
Yeah.
that's kind of out of shape. He just pops in for like 3 episodes a year to say something funny. Like, I love that guy. This show's amazing. You would
It
love
really
this
is.
show, too.
I also love that. I was really worried at the end of the season. He like confronts the guy who he finds out had murdered his mom.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit, they're gonna like betray my favorite thing about Bosch, in that like he is kind of a badass, or not kind of, but he is a badass.
Huge
He's like
badass.
very like gruff, like doesn't take any bullshit, whatever. But he like always will do the right thing at any cost.
Yeah, he
He's-
slipped up once, and
that-
that's why him and Jagger had problems
That
from season 3.
Hank Voight that I was talking about in Chicago PD, he's like the opposite. He's like gruff or whatever, and again,
But does what it takes.
technically a good dude, but will like murder a fool if he thinks that dude deserves murdering. Whereas like Bosch would never do that.
Yeah, and he
It's
slipped
the
once
polar
last year,
opposite.
and this whole year was about like, can he
Yeah,
come
him and
back from
Jagger
that?
getting back.
Yeah, and like what? And Jagger asked him, he's like, "What are you gonna do?" And like the whole season was about like trying to figure out like
Yeah.
where they were gonna go with that. So
I was very happy that they didn't have him. I was really worried they were gonna have him shoot that dude.
especially when he was just like provoking him. He
Yeah.
was like, "When your mom was a whore,"
Yeah.
and I was like,
Well, once
"No."
I saw Jagger there, I was pretty sure they weren't gonna do it. But
I was afraid Jagger was gonna get shot again.
yeah, when he was like just pursuing him into those tunnels or whatever, but like him figuring all that shit out, God, it was so good.
Being in
Anyway,
like
we
the
can-
secret underground of
Yeah.
all that shit. I was like,
Putting
God,
it all together,
old LA is so cool.
it really is. All right, we can stop gushing about Bosch now.
sorry. It's so good. Ooh, Rockets one.
Oh shit!
Well, I hate that Chuck just left, but
I think he was
okay.
coughing something up.
Yeah, a lung. It sounded like. Nope. There's nothing else we can talk about. So let's go ahead and talk about Atlanta.
All right,
All right,
let's do it. This show is fucking amazing.
phenomenal, man.
It's so I think I might like season 1 a little bit better.
I think I do as well.
I
But-
don't.
Well, let me tell you what they went. He wrote it more like Master of None is written this year. he went for it's still a hilarious show, but first season was more focused on commentary. Or on the comedy. This season was still while still funny, just like Master of None, made much more of a effort on the commentary of the show
and more grounded. Aside, I mean, it opened up with an alligator man, but even that like doesn't seem all that far fetched. Last year had the crazy like episode 7 with all the funny commercials and like everything
one of the
else.
greatest episodes of TV of all
amazing.
time.
I actually think there's an equivalent to that, but continue.
I'm trying to think of what it would be.
The fucking Teddy episode, man.
Oh yeah, but it's not.
That shit was just as weird and like had nothing to do
Except
with anything.
it wasn't funny. It was just it was funny.
It wasn't
but
funny, but it was just as weird
was
and out of
amazing.
place and like had nothing to do with fucking anything else.
Yeah, but it wasn't quite the same. I mean, the Teddy Perkins character, which I thought was him the whole time, but I had to look up just to be sure.
Yeah, same here.
Like I thought he was great, and I thought they played the tragedy of the character really well. The episode was weird as fuck, but it wasn't in the same way of like a very clearly scripted fake like news program and like fake commercials and everything.
It wasn't literally the same thing, but it was.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's why it still
served the
felt
same
more
purpose.
grounded, though. Like
There was nothing about that episode to me that felt grounded.
I don't know. Maybe that's just
Like
me.
a weird, obscure Michael Jackson dude who kept his like fucked up brother in the basement and like opened up a.
It felt weird as fuck, but I don't know. It
very over the
didn't
top
feel
to
on the
me.
same level. Either way, like I still thought this season was fantastic. I thought like kind of top to bottom, it's one of the best written shows on TV.
oh, without a doubt.
You sympathize with every character in some fashion. Tracy is awesome, and fuck him. I hate him.
It is weird how you go back and forth really quickly.
Him talking about stealing those shoes as he's doing it is one of the funniest scenes in television for me this
He's
year.
just
He's just like, they got a no chase policy. Doesn't matter what I could say. I'm going to walk out right now, and they can't chase me. And the guy's like, yeah.
Oh man, Darius was a little toned down this year. He wasn't like as crazy. I didn't feel,
He stuck his foot in some pasta.
but he did do some really funny things. Still, to me, the Paperboy was much more the star this year than he had been in the past.
I agree.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like this. Like I think Brian Tyree Henry is his name or something. But anyway, I think he should be nominated for an Oscar or for an Emmy. I thought he was wonderful.
He's really good. I hated him toward the end of the season, just because I sympathize with Ern so much. Do you interpret as though Ern is still his manager?
Yes.
Yeah, he 100% is. He tells
mean,
him
that's
that
what
on the
literally
plane.
says it at the
Well,
end
he
of the
says
season.
like that's what I need, but he doesn't officially say like you're sticking around.
He
I mean,
says, "I
that's
need that
clearly
man" when
what
he's
he's-
referring to what he's done.
I don't think so.
And then, and Ern's showing like he's trying to take care of him because like he clearly like he says at the end he put that gun and he's trying to show
You
him
got to
with
do what you got to do.
Well, he put that gun in the other rapper's bag, and then the rapper moved it into his manager's bag and like totally betrayed his manager. Which that guy, when they're in the studio, and he's like the program froze, and like he like is going like crazy on it. It is amazing.
It's
just
real
don't
funny.
let it fucking happen again. And like they're all like, "Yo."
And then when it does happen, and then fucking Paperboy and Darius are just like out.
Yeah, they're like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
The episode with Paperboy in the Woods is also just fantastic.
I think that episode's just called
Crazy.
The Woods.
It is The Woods. It's crazy. That fucking homeless guy or whatever, like that whole thing was awesome.
I mean, it's also, there's been a few shows that have kind of made me realize this lately, but that episode in particular does a good job of making me realize, like, starting to feel, like, legitimately old in terms of, like, popular culture. Like, I feel like we keep up with it pretty well because we do so much about TV and video games and everything else, but, like, the whole, like, Instagram famous type.
I hate Instagram famous people. I hate the idea of Instagram famous.
Nah, like, to some extent, like, if you
Get
can,
it? Well, you
yeah,
when you
man,
type
get it
thing,
while the getting's good.
Man, I can't get it. I
But
can't get behind it.
I literally
hate
don't
that girl
understand
so
it.
much. The Tracy, or I mean the Van episode rather this year was much better than last year.
Oh yeah, it was great.
The whole Drake party I
Zazie
thought
Beetz
was fucking
episode?
hilarious.
Oh, yes, I definitely agree.
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was like well done. Again, more of the Instagram famous shit, which like is annoying, but I understand that as a thing and it's real. But man, I hate
I
that kind of.
adored the German like festival episode. I thought it was
I
so
thought it was real
fucking
funny.
funny,
This is
man.
probably my least favorite episode of the season.
Oh,
It wasn't
God.
bad.
I thought it was
I just didn't love it.
hilarious.
I thought it was funny. I mean, it was more of a bummer episode for me, though. I mean, like, they actually did a good job of selling
The
Van
relationship
this season more. I still hate her, but, like, I get it.
Well, she was the more responsible of the two. She was like, I want this to move forward, and now it's like Ern that can't like grow up and like have that.
Yeah. The second to last episode, I wish that Chuck were here to talk about it because he feels the same way I do.
Yeah,
but...
Chuck is out, folks. It's for you that couldn't see.
Oh, permanently?
He's sick. He can't do it
Yeah.
anymore.
But like he's the episode of him in high school or in junior high or whatever. It was, I guess, high school because the 12th graders were picking on him. The Fubu episode, like that was just heartbreaking to me.
It was a really good episode, though. That was
I agree.
Donald Glover's. Like he directed the episode and he wrote that, and he wanted to talk about like what it meant to him as a kid and stuff. I also there's a lot of funny parts of that episode.
There was some good stuff in the episode just in general, but like the poignancy of it, like yes, it was absolutely showing the relevance of Fubu, but like man, bullying culture, it pisses me off anyway. I really fucking hate it. But they portrayed it incredibly well. I've been in that situation, man. Like you
Man, when that kid gets punched in the side of the head on the bus.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I was like, oh shit.
There was that shit and the indifference that the staff has to it in certain ways, and then like I've been the person who's like, man, my parents, they can't afford me Jordans or they can't afford me like the expensive shoes or clothes or anything, and so like you get what you can get and you make it work, and like sometimes you get fucking ripped for it for no reason other than kids are stupid and they're assholes. Like I'm so glad I don't have kids to send them to school because like I would be punching 4-year-olds, man. Like I just straight up would.
But to some extent, like, and obviously all of us weren't bullies. All of us maybe didn't get bullied, but like I feel like you experience some form of that on both sides, like at some point in your life.
I agree. I think to an extent, maybe in some.
And again, obviously, some more than others, and much higher, much greater extent than
others. I can tell you, 400-pound Josh wasn't bullying anybody.
No, and maybe you weren't doing it in high school, but like at some point, like you've given somebody a hard time that you shouldn't have given a hard time. Like fucking everybody does that. And again, I'm not saying you don't swing way to the other end of that spectrum that fucking sucks, but
and like the kid, I mean, I've been there, man. The kid, I obviously haven't killed myself, but I've had those thoughts and those feelings, and like the fact that he's dealing with other things, and you could tell. I mean, his relationship with his father was incredibly important, and like the whole thing of like my father. The thing that bugged me is they didn't, and I get why they didn't, but like they didn't really focus on how his actions could have been interpreted as like causing this kid to help kind of kill himself. Like it was more Ern didn't want anybody to know that he had lied about his clothing or didn't know.
Yeah, it's definitely an indirect type of blame.
On the other side of the spectrum, we have not talked about the funniest episode of the year in the barbershop episode with Character of the Year nominee Bibby.
Bibby was really funny.
Oh my god,
wonderful!
He was wonderful.
But it was Paperboy again. Paperboy is what sold that episode.
God, Bibby man. His refusal and to always find an excuse of to not cut his hair, and then just
like I got an appointment too, but his was first.
When he was stealing that wood, man, God, it was just the last. God, it was so fucking funny. And also, I really enjoyed the one where they went up north to stay on a college campus with that crazy girl.
Dude, that bitch was insane.
When she lays down with Paperboy, and he's like, "Oh, God, that whole
also
show
when
so good.
When he gets out of the car to fight Tracy.
When he gets out of the car to fight Tracy is really funny, and also when they find that that frat house to get some weed.
Oh my god! It's a moment of the year
candidate.
When they're all naked.
Yeah, but that dude plays that song on his phone.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's amazing.
God, it's so good. And they're
was like just chilling out smoking weed in front of that giant Confederate flag. Like this is
that scene. That's just cut. That whole shot is so good.
At one point, me and Brittany were watching it. I was just like, "This is really fucked up."
It's real fucked up, but it's hilarious. Also, earlier in the season, he's trying to stun on people, so he's trying to throw money around. No one will take $100 bill from a black guy.
Oh my god, that made me so mad. And then it was so
funny.
Good.
And when it ends up when he's like, sometimes you gotta stun people, and he's gonna race Michael Vick, and he's like, yeah, but I hadn't ran 6 times in the last 10 minutes. And it cuts to him afterwards. He's just sitting in the truck, just going. She's like, it's Michael Vick.
No, dude. When he's at, I assume was the movie theater trying to pay with the $100 bill, and he couldn't. And then like the white guy comes up and pays with it, and he just steps up and he's like, "Excuse me, sir," and he just pulls his fucking jacket back,
and he goes, like, "Oh wow, okay, I'm out."
God, I love that show, man. It's so good.
It's really good.
Easily one of the best written shows on TV.
Comedy of the year.
I mean, trial and error's coming.
You guys are the assholes, man.
I like this season better than last season, so this season maybe it wins.
Oh,
It's because you were on the Master of Nut Train, which that show was amazing too. I
God
wish it
damn
were
it,
coming
it's so
back
good.
sooner if they bring it back.
maybe
at
a
all.
while. It'll come back, but it'll be a while. All right, that's gonna do it for TV. Let's talk about some movies, which I guess we cut out some since Chuck's gone.
That's fine.
I feel bad talking about Batman Ninja without Chuck.
Just at this point, no, it's not like anybody's gonna like want our
Like
hot
he
fresh
is
take
the
on Batman.
DC
Ninja.
Batman
animated
Ninja's,
guy.
like just
Current.
yeah.
I get that, but it's also a DC. It's not like a theatrical release, even like,
No, I get that.
and it is a Batman animated movie.
I
I'm
feel
fine
like
with waiting.
you and I are closer on the same level for that movie.
I don't love it. but
I'm the same, but
Well,
yeah,
kinda-
I
we'll
think
talk.
Chuck might be with you guys. I think I might be the lone wolf on thinking that show or that movie is fucking awesome.
it has really awesome parts, but is a very disjointed movie.
It
for
is.
me.
God damn it,
It
I
is.
love that
Oh,
movie.
and
Anyway,
We'll talk
talk
about it
more
in depth
later.
next
Yeah,
time.
I will leave you with. I never thought this, but I could not listen to any more Tony Hale yelling.
My God, dude.
It was a lot. So that also cuts out the week of, because that was only Chuck.
I don't even know what that is.
It is the Adam Sandler and
Gotcha.
somebody.
Okay.
Anyway, it's getting really bad reviews, and Chuck agrees that I think it's his least favorite movie of the year.
That's probably great then, if we take last year into account.
Great Wall.
Great Wall
You're
is so
horrible.
good.
You're a horrible person.
Let's talk about the Andre the Giant. It's been a while on that. I think he's fun. Missing
Yeah,
that.
man.
That's just you two, sadly.
Yeah,
I forgot to watch that.
it's awesome.
It's so good.
It's really good. It's nothing like eye-opening. Like I knew a lot of this, but it's just really good. And
The-
to hear like all the people, Vince McMahon cries in this.
I know.
I didn't think of him as a person that cries.
that could cry.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Like the last 20 minutes of this are brutal.
It really is. Like the end of his
from
life.
when they talk about the Princess Bride on.
Kind of when they
the-
cut from WrestleMania 3 on.
Yeah, I mean, Carrie Elvis. First of all, like I did not know how much of like a personality on set Andre was, but there's not a person who speaks ill of him this entire documentary.
It's supposedly he's just
That's
one of the like great, like the biggest, like all-time nice guys.
the most lovable guy. Like he defend you, stick up for you. He would drink you under the table. Like
Who knew Tim White was his handler?
I didn't.
Of all people.
That man loved Andre, and Andre loved him.
Yeah, he cries in it too, and he's just saying he's like, if
That
I
man.
could change anything in
like-
the world, it was to have been there with him when he died, so he wouldn't have been alone.
Like
I
you've
was like,
seen the
damn.
like little V8 cans
Shit.
of like
That got
Like-
me a little bit.
like tomato juice and shit. You've seen like what they look like, right? The little like
Like-
6
yeah.
ounce cans. That is what a beer can looks like in that man's
Smaller.
hand.
It is like
He
that
drank,
was the
like-
most eye-opening shot. I was like, oh my god, his hands are like.
Cases of wine per night. Like that dude was a Frenchman. He loved him some wine.
Hearing about the partying was like, and they were like, because I love first off that I mean, again, this is made by Bill Simmons. This is a Ringer film,
Mhm.
which
Oh,
is
nice.
he invented 30 for 30. So this is basically a long 30 for 30. But David Shoemaker, who's my favorite like wrestling writer, he's the Ringer's wrestling writer. He goes by the Masked Man. He does a lot of the commentary
He does,
on here,
yeah.
and he's great because he's very informed. So like hearing like all the inside baseball, and like he brought up a good point of like he's like the mythology of what
Andre.
he was like no one has achieved that in wrestling. Like you could hear any story about him and you just assume that it's
you
true.
believe it. Yeah. Like Ric Flair was like, I
He-
heard he had 2 hearts or whatever.
Yeah,
or like 3 rows of
said-
teeth. And
he
like,
said for 30 years I really believed the two rows of teeth. He's like every time we wrestled I'd be going like trying to look up in there, and I was like,
That's funny.
"You're a son of a bitch, Ric Flair."
True fucking story. I love how attached to that, like completely small, that like his home away from home, basically the town in, in North Carolina.
yeah.
Who he just it was his French
It's
home.
the only place he could go without people. Like everybody knew him, so like everyone would like
Nobody
everyone
made a
didn't stop
spectacle out of
him and be like they just talked to him as a friend instead of like being like, "Hey, you gotta take a picture or hold your
Yeah.
hand up or all in this bullshit."
Getting his daughter to talk about him as well. Like I'd never seen her before.
No, a
and
lot of his family is in this, and I was surprised by
his
it.
brother.
Are they all
Two
gigantic?
brothers. No,
Oh. That and the most
Interesting.
tragic part is like yeah they talk about
there's
it
a
very early
treatment
on.
for what he had if
If-
you do it early.
If he didn't live in a remote winery village basically in France, and they had caught it early.
Even at the time, there was a treatment that like more. Obviously, there's more so now. But if you catch it early, I mean, you can't like reverse gigantism, and I don't forget the technical name of it they use in it.
They talk about it as gigantism.
They do. It's the common.
I also didn't know that he actually had that disease.
Yeah, it's a pituitary disease.
Yeah.
Interesting.
His body just continued to produce.
He's billed at 7'4", and they even dressed this. He was not 7'4". He was just like everything on him was so big. Massive, and like he's obviously tall. He was right at around 7 foot, but like you see him and Hulk Hogan against each other, and Hulk Hogan's what 6'9" maybe, if that.
Yeah,
and he's not that much taller than Hulk Hogan, but he's just gigantic.
I loved the story actually with Hulk talking about like
Hulk
working out the entire WrestleMania 3 match, like bringing out the legal
him
pad
riding that,
like,
and they showed the pad, and at the very top of it, you can see him like, "Please don't show this to Andre," because he was like, knowing the wrestling, like loving the wrestling business and reading about it, like there's a respect level in there of like, and there's a chain of command and like the unwritten code and all this, and like he felt. It was not his place, even though he was becoming the biggest star on the planet at that time, and this is really what pushed him over that. Like, he would not tell Andre how this ends. He wouldn't even demand that he beat Andre, even though he clearly was the one that should go over at that point.
The whole, and like I had heard
he wrote the whole thing out, then wrote finish with a question mark at the end, and then like
the whole I had heard the story before, but the whole like Andre fucking with him the entire day
would
of
not
the
tell
event,
him if he was going to
whether or not he was going to put him over.
Man, I gotta watch this fucking documentary.
Like he came out to 95, the biggest crowd ever at that point. They came out, first sold out the Silver Dome, 95,000 people.
Only loss he ever had?
No. I don't think so. Official loss, only loss in WWE. I think.
I mean, the only televised quote unquote loss he ever had.
So like he comes out that, and they go out to the main event of WrestleMania 3, sold out Silver Dome, and Hulk has no idea what they're going to do for the match at that point because Andre's been fucking with him. Doesn't know he didn't know that he was going to do what script he was going to. He didn't know that Andre had even seen the script that he wrote out.
Oh.
He said, "So I threw a punch, he blocked it." And then I caught that he was like, "Holy shit, he's doing what I wrote out." And like, so it just kept going. He was like, "Oh my god, thank God." He still didn't know the finish. And then after, like, he did one move, and then he just hears Andre just yell "slam," and he was like, "Oh shit!" So he does the body slam, and as soon as he hits the mat, you hear leg drop. He does a leg drop. He's like, "I fully expect him to kick out," and then he's like, and then 3 seconds later, my entire life changed. I was like, "Damn,
that's pretty awesome."
So
like,
cool.
Hearing about his like physical impairment,
how hard
leading
just
up
traveling
to that match,
was on him and all that stuff. He couldn't move.
Having to get the surgery on his knee, which again feels like it's a story out of today, not a story out of 30 years ago. The fact that on the Princess Bride, like he couldn't catch Robin Wright Penn,
couldn't even catch Robin Wright, despite how big he was. He was in such bad shape.
He was being held up by wires and holding. She was being held up by wires to look like he was holding her. A 7 foot tall man, 500 pounds. Robin Wright Penn was
100 pounds, probably.
Maybe 100 pounds at that time, and he couldn't lift her to hold her up because his back was in such bad shape. Like, just imagine having to live that way.
It's like tragic.
And the looks that he
knowing you're going to die early.
Yeah. Planes, and that was the thing, is his just complete like being at peace with, I'm going to live my life till it's over, and that's all it's going to be. Like, he was he was the gentle giant type thing. Like, it's such a great documentary.
Vince was really good in this too.
There's been articles about like they wish they had covered this and the exploitation.
I thought it was perfect,
man. I thought it was great.
Vince was the most humanized I'd ever seen Vince in this, because you could tell what Andre meant to him. Because when he decided, and they discussed this,
until we get the eventual Bret Hart documentary,
Vince is the one that ended the territories. It used to be 30 wrestling organizations.
I loved how much they went into the territories,
and they really explained the significance of that. And Vince is the one that ended that, and he used Andre to end that. And eventually Hulk is the one that kind of completed that.
Yeah. But being able
you could see on Vince's face what that meant
to
him.
Territory, and people had never seen him before, and it was an in and out thing. Like, okay, Andre is being lent to the Southeast territory, and nobody has seen him, so you can get a couple matches out of there, but you can't make him your staple that way, or at least they didn't see it that, because eventually people stopped coming to the same exact matches over and over. And it's just like, it's such a cool, like the history of wrestling is such a cool topic.
When he's talking when Vince is talking about how like Andre kind of held a grudge a little bit because he was just. he held him responsible because he was looking for somebody to blame late in his career when just things started to go bad. Because he didn't like being a heel. He didn't like being a bad guy because he just loved people. And so he's like, we had kind of a falling out, and they were like, what was your last conversation on all this? And they're like, what did he mean to you? Or did his death hit you harder than anything? And like, Vince starts crying, and he was just like, I have this facility to just completely write out people that hurt me, and just to block it out.
To compartmentalize.
Yeah. And you could just see like the wall breakdown of like how hard it hits him. And you could see that he regretted that they didn't clear the air before it ever ended.
How old was he when he passed away?
46.
Okay, that's certainly young, but
it's not a full life. But I mean, it was
the way you guys are talking. It almost made me wonder if it was like in his 30s or something.
It's like a miserable last 10 years, though. It sounded like.
Yeah.
Man.
Like, I mean, he just was living on. I mean, did he get to go back for his father's funeral?
That's where he died.
That's right.
He went back to his father's funeral and died.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Like, and his brother, cool guy, but talking about like this was his chair, and you saw it just like so much bigger than everybody.
The size of this like a fucking double table, chair. Man.
Like, yeah. Like, and just like the fact that. He had to have made money, right? And he had to have left it somewhere. He had that big ranch in Carolina and everything, but like the fact that you see his family home and like nothing has changed. Right? His chair is still there at the family kitchen table, and like it's such a cool thing. It's like weird for me to make this connection, and I think it's just because it's a French wine village essentially, but like there's a storyline in The Next Generation about Picard going home and like seeing his brother, who is like this complete opposite, but they're still like this really rural French family. Like it kind of hit me a lot of the ways like those episodes did, but like obviously in a much more impactful and humanized way. But I love this documentary. It's one of my
really
favorite
good.
films of the year.
I mean, we're still early in, but like right now, if we had to make my top 10, like it's easily in my top 10.
It's in mine.
That's
as
awesome.
Well. Yeah, and it's only like 86 minutes, 90 minutes, right around there. So
it's right at an hour and a half.
Yeah,
so
it's totally worth it.
All right, so we are definitely skipping. We'll skip Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay, and Batman Ninja because Chuck's gone, and I'll give you a chance to watch Suicide Squad anyways.
Good.
Let's talk about Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
I guess that's the last one, right?
Yep. I don't know if Chuck liked this. I'm assuming he liked it.
He hasn't said anything. He said
he was saving it for the show. Yeah, I mean, he really seemed like he enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think he did like it quite a bit.
I loved it.
I liked it a lot.
I also liked it a lot. It's not as much as the first one, but only by a small bit.
It's a little below to me. The second act had some problems. Like there was times the second act was dragging a little bit, and it felt like it was like kind of getting away from what they were doing. But it also had some wonderful moments, like the X-Force introduction.
There are aspects of this movie that I like more than the first one, and there are aspects that I like less than the first one.
The best jokes are probably better than the best jokes from the first one. The most like awesome fight scenes are better than the first one. The first one just kind of felt almost more consistent.
I would agree with that. Also, I think there's just something about it being the first one that you can't get.
We'd never seen anything like that before.
Like you expected what it could be, but you didn't think it would be it,
and it was flawless.
And they absolutely nailed it. I agree with that. I still really
it's close.
Just so much fucking fun in this movie.
Domino was perfect.
Domino was great.
She was really good.
It's my favorite thing to come out of this movie. Like I want her to have her own movie.
Yeah, everybody's enjoying. That was also what all the reshoots were, was putting more Domino in the movie.
Good deal.
So I think they realized it too, because when they tested it, Cable and Domino were the two. They were like, we need more of them in this movie.
There were some moments like when, like he kind of called back to the whole like punching, or feeling like Colossus is nuts or whatever.
Yeah.
He made some like callback reference that he was like Scoutmaster Pete or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a little forced.
Yeah.
There are some moments like that, but I don't know, man. I still don't get tired of like the extreme violence, the fact that he is just a rag doll in every way.
The humor is just incredible. They know it. Like I saw your brother had the thing, and I was like, I don't
know what you wanted the first.
I just don't think. I was like, I don't think you get kind of what the comic book is like that.
Yeah,
but I was like, you do sacrifice
There's no way
the story
to not be
for
like
the
that
comedy.
and do a Deadpool movie.
I actually liked his arc better in this one.
There was more of a story, I thought, in this one.
Oh, certainly.
I liked all the Vanessa stuff. I liked
that was wonderful how they handled that. The whole movie is about revenge and like trying to live up to like be with her again in heaven, and now Vanessa's alive. Spoilers, obviously.
Yeah, there's questions as to whether or not that is
No,
actually
they've
true.
confirmed
have
it.
they?
Yes. That is in continuity everything that happened in the mid credits scene, which is also one of the greatest stingers of all time.
Yeah,
It
it
is
is.
He
probably
gets
the
Cable's-
greatest stinger.
Cable's time device, and he's like, "Oh yeah," and he just goes crazy and goes back, saves Vanessa immediately. So the whole movie doesn't matter because she's alive, which is hilarious.
Yeah,
Goes back and murders the shit out of original Deadpool that
that
we got
was
in
the
Wolverine
best part to
Origins.
me.
It cuts to Ryan Reynolds reading the script for Green Lantern. He's like,
Welcome to the big
"Welcome
time,
to the big
kid.
leagues, guy," and he just shoots him through the face. And he's like, "You'll thank me." Man,
Him showing up and killing old Deadpool and just shooting him like 6 more times, and then like as he's leaving, he was like, "I love you." I love it so much.
it was really good. Peter was wonderful. Everything I hoped he would be.
The X-Force scene was amazing. It's one of my moments of the year.
The high winds.
Yes, just the fact that like, oh my God,
They
doing
got Terry
it.
Crews, and then they murdered him.
They murdered every.
I'm
Including
really
Brad
Sugar
Pitt.
Bear.
I'm a little sad that Shatterstar's out of the X-Men universe now.
I will
Not
say,
anymore. Remember?
He has a
No,
Oh,
they
no,
didn't say he
that's
didn't save
right.
him.
He only saved Peter.
He only saves
Go
Peter.
home, Sugar Bear. It's not worth it.
No, I think they could easily just ride him back into
I mean,
the next movie.
Shatterstar's not coming back.
You don't know.
I'm better than you at everything.
Shatterstar and is kind of a douche and looks that douchey in comics. That's what I appreciated about what they did.
The
But I'm a
Vanisher.
90s
I just
X-Men
hope
fan.
Dupe's in Deadpool 3.
Oh, if there was ever a place for Dupe, it is in
It is
Deadpool 3
absolutely.
or just in X-Force. Vanisher was in that, who I've read up on, and his prominence, quote unquote, was during a time when my downtime of comic. He was around, ironically, during the Messiah Wars stuff, which is like one of Cable's main arcs.
Okay.
But the fact that it was Brad Pitt was fucking hilarious.
It was
Did
hilarious.
you read like about how that all came about?
Uh-uh.
Apparently, like Ryan Reynolds wrote a handwritten letter to Brad Pitt.
He's one of
asking
the
him-
hardest cameos to get in Hollywood.
Yeah, he was like just saying how funny it'd be and everything else. And Brad Pitt didn't charge him. He
Coffee.
He got paid in Starbucks and did it on some lot in L.A. Like nowhere near any of the rest of the movie. Just went in and filmed it.
The
for a
X-Men
day.
in the X-Mansion, when it showed them shutting the
Oh,
door.
that was amazing.
That was they called Bryan Singer on set, and that was them shooting
Dark Phoenix.
Phoenix, and they filmed that on a different lot just so they could show
I mean,
that.
I love the callback again. He was like, "Why is this place so empty? You would think the studio would throw us a bone." And he's like ranting, and it just
You
cuts
see
to
them
him very
go,
clearly green screened in.
Oh yeah,
But you see Beast, and like he looks, and then just like grabs
Matt
it
Damon and
Yeah, I
Alan
didn't
Tudyk.
pick up on that.
Alan Tudyk. Yeah, it was
I didn't
amazing.
either
I knew it was
until
Matt Damon. I heard his voice. I was like, yes.
Fucking IGN spoiled the fact that Juggernaut was in this movie, and it pissed me off so bad.
So I was
I
really
guessed it
happy that
immediately.
Juggernaut was in this movie.
I mean,
That was also Ryan Reynolds.
I probably would have. Yeah, he voiced it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
That's
I
funny.
probably would have figured it out when they were just talking about like make friends with the biggest guy in here.
I
or
saw the
whatever, but-
hand and I went Juggernaut.
Yeah, but before that, I probably would have guessed it. But I knew the entire time. Like the morning of the day after that fucking movie comes out, there's an article on IGN that just says the best Colossus versus Juggernaut fights, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's stupid.
fucking really, dude?
So the fights were great. Cable was done well. I think as good as you can do Cable, because a serious Cable probably doesn't work
Show you how
because it's a
fucking
90s.
short he is.
Yeah, and them making fun of it.
Oh yeah,
is
I was like
amazing.
totally not comic accurate.
Because Cable's
Like,
a huge.
They're at the
dude
end.
in
They're
the
like
comics.
all walking like in
He
a
got
line. and
jacked
it's-
though to play that. Man.
Yeah.
Some of the fight scenes were really good. I
I like
thought
that they called him Thanos at one point too. That was funny.
that was very
Yeah,
funny.
the DC Universe thing was funny.
yeah.
Again, both those were in the trailer, but it was
It's
funny
a
the
really-
Wide
I must have
Willie
missed the Thanos
line.
one.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's a really funny. Like the whole
Um,
jail scene was great. Julian Dennison was really good at.
Man, I feel bad for how big that kid is.
Yeah, he was a big kid.
He's gotten
Yeah.
bigger.
The fact that they got fucking Rusty Collins as a character in this is just crazy to me.
Yeah.
He was an acolyte at one point. There's a lot of great X-Men references. Black Tom Cassidy's in this.
Yeah.
I flipped my
Calling
shit.
him racist every time he brought up killing Black Tom.
It was one of the best parts of the
It
entire
was.
movie.
Also,
I will
Julian
say-
Dennison doing the fucking mime away. He's like, "That's not a real rope," and flipping him off. Like, I thought that was great.
I will say some of the effects were a little rough.
The Juggernaut did not look great.
Yeah,
I
and then
think
like
that
like
is
his
kind of.
design.
I don't think they go out to make it. I think they just like know that they don't have to make it look good because it fits Deadpool.
to some extent, yeah, that kind of stuff though, like doesn't necessarily to me just fit in with like, oh, it's a Deadpool movie, so the
Yeah,
CG is kind of rough. But I mean, not enough for me to.
Gray Suit Deadpool was awesome.
It was,
which is X-Force.
Yeah, I was.
Every time he was just like X-Force. I loved it.
It was really
when
good.
Dopinder got mad when he lets Peter join was also amazing, and also
yeah,
he was like fuck when
Yeah.
he's like I don't have powers. He's like I just saw the ad. He's like you're in, and you see him in the corner. He's like fuck,
and then at the end he's like my body is so soft and frail. I should go away back in the car. And then he finally kills the guy, and he's like, I want more.
My body is an instrument of destruction.
Also, Eddie Marsan is his name. That is not Patty Considine.
It is not. Well done. Also, they continue to just tease the hell out of Mr. Sinister. For the love of God, give it to us in some movie at some point.
Gambit.
That is not. Well, I mean, it would fit in Gambit, but that movie's never happening.
They're talking
Thank
about
God.
it filming next summer.
They talk about that every year. It doesn't have a director.
I might regret this, but I'm gonna say it. It makes me so fucking happy that Gambit almost was a movie, and then isn't going to be a movie.
Marvel's gonna make it work.
It makes me so
Disney Marvel's
fucking
gonna make it
happy.
work.
Or they're
Eventually,
like,
I
we're
can
not
see
going to
that.
make this because we have all the rights, and you didn't have that many.
Yeah, I can see them never making a Gambit movie.
If they
but
made a
I feel like
goddamn
eventually
Ant-Man
Gambit
and
will be
Guardians of the
around
Galaxy
again.
movie. Gambit will get a movie under Disney.
Guardians makes sense if they knew the whole plan. Ant-Man only happened because of Edgar Wright's test footage going public. If that hadn't happened before they were going to have a fallout with Edgar Wright, Ant-Man probably still wouldn't be in the MCU.
Yeah. I'm glad
Gambit
he
is one of those characters I legitimately believe they would find a way to make.
Maybe
He
I
is
see him being an
still
X-Men at some point.
incredibly popular.
He's not a prominent part of comics.
He may not
so
be a
like
prominent
so
part of
kids
the
now
comics.
don't know about him that much.
I think
To
they
you,
would make
he's
it
a
work.
prominent part. To anyone under the age of like 20,
Anyone
he
that
is
watched
definitely not.
the animated series is
Yeah.
like 9 out of 10 of those people are a huge fan of Gambit.
I'm number 10.
He is
Yes, you
better
are.
than Wolverine to me.
But that's
All right,
insane.
let's end this.
You shut your fucking mouth. There's a
I
line.
enjoy Wolverine. Gambit is better. Gambit is my favorite X-Man.
Wolverine's not even my top 5. And that's fucking lunacy.
Iceman is number 2 for me.
Well, there you go. That's more up there. All right, well let's end it there. Make sure to check out our other parts of our show, and especially make sure to check out our Upfronts special this week, where we'll be talking all the shows that were picked up, all the shows that were canceled,
And the 900 trailers.
all the new shows. It's not that much.
It's a lot. You're going to count it up, aren't you?
No,
Oh, okay.
that's stupid. We're just going to talk about them.
X-Force.
Gambit sucks.
X-Force. You ruined it.
No, I'll cut that last one.
All right, let's go straight